Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Welcome to the East Coast.
Yeah, this is awesome.
What time is it there now, actually?
Quarter to midnight.
Oh my gosh, you're a champ. You're a real
That's
champ.
cool. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it all day.
I've been so excited, and every time I see one of your posts, I'm like, oh, cool, more stuff, more stuff. This is
Yeah.
great.
So I put an advert out on one of the groups for art teachers in the UK, so I'm not sure how many of them are going to be joining us.
I don't know how many stay up this late. That's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, one of them tried to join it at 7. They're like, "Where are you? Where are you?" I'm like, "Well, I did say it was in
I think
American
I
time."
saw that. And our president of NICATA, who's our union, our teacher union here in New York, sent me an email telling the person that it's on the East Coast, so you're a little early.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so great. You know, I never imagined when I started this in the fall that it would take off the way it has. It's fantastic. And I'm meeting so many people, and you are our first international facilitator. And I think that's awesome. Yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah. So I did a video. I sent it to you earlier. I posted it on the channel, and it's had like 100 views already. So
that's fantastic.
There's a lot of interest in this
when we have the chat going, we can post it in the chat room so everybody can open it from there too.
Fantastic.
I might be having some tech difficulties tonight. I'm not sure. I was actually, I don't know if you know of it. It's the NAEA, National Art Educators Association. It's the annual convention.
Okay.
Today through Sunday. So I have been in virtual workshops and, you know, webinars and all that all day long. And I think my technology might be tired.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get cut off tonight. But yeah, so I figured the bulk of the people should be in by like 10 after 7.
Okay.
We give everybody a little time to start until we start at like 10 after 7. And then I'll just hand it over. I'll do my intro and hello everybody again and introduce you. And then I'll hand it over to you and then you can run with it. Are you planning to play the video and do the demo through the video and then take Q&A after? Or are you going to stop it and start it? How do you want to do it?
I was probably going to do it live, so screen share.
Okay.
And then I don't know how many of your guys have Photoshop, how many have Photopea, so I can do it simultaneously in both apps.
You can?
Yeah.
That's great. I love Photoshop personally. That's what I used to do before I was a teacher. I was a graphic designer. Okay. Unfortunately, the New York City school system doesn't give us Adobe to work with in the classroom, and it's a fortune. So I discovered Photopea this year because I needed something web-based and free for the kids to be able to work from home because I'm 100% remote right now. So that is the direction I'm going. I don't know nationwide, you know, how everybody else is managing with digital applications and stuff. But I try to cover both ends of the spectrum in case, you know, I don't know what everybody has. But from what I understand, Photopea is the best mirror version of Photoshop, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of researched a little bit. I think it's somewhere in Eastern Europe. Someone did some open source coding and coded the whole thing and then put it out onto the web for anyone to use.
It was the best thing ever. I mean,
the difficulty
has saved so many teachers this year in the classroom completely.
I mean, there are two sort of bugbears with it, if you like. One is the sort of ad pop-ups. So some schools I've heard where the ad block-ups stop it running. The school systems, which is quite annoying. And I found with some of my students, if they're working from home and they've got poor internet speed, it lags really badly. And
well, the heavy duty app, I mean, Photoshop is like a text sucker. It's like a memory sucker. It's it slows everything down. Yeah. And the kids have Department of Education devices, and that alone is not high enough memory sometimes to do artwork on. Add to that poor Wi-Fi, poor internet, and you have a whole other situation. We can't account for every single.
No, but it has been amazing for the remote working. Absolutely.
So what is it that are you an in-class, in-school, when we're in school teacher?
Yeah, I'm a photography teacher.
Fantastic.
Secondary school. So I don't know how that equates over in your way, but it's 14 to 16-year-olds I teach.
Well, I do ninth grade, which is about 15 till they age out, or 17, 18.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's about middle school is what we would call it. Yeah. And you do digital, or what do you call it? Analog, the old,
No, we're all digital. We have a suite of 30 PCs all running Photoshop.
That's nice.
We started in our school about 6 years ago. We had no photography. We opened up, we had 10 students the first year doing it, and we had like a small room with a couple of computers in it, and then it built and built so quickly, and now we've got, I think it's about 250 students doing photography GCSEs this year.
That's fantastic.
So there's like three different year groups.
Wow.
And they're all working their way through it, and it's a hugely popular subject in school. I think it's because of the state of the world, social media, all the rest of it. Everyone's really interested in photography all of a sudden.
Yeah, for sure. I created a small unit last year when we first got kicked out of the buildings, to have the kids. I did like photography week 1 and then photography week 2, and I gave small assignments here and there. I don't know how do you stretch a curriculum for a whole year doing photography?
We follow the art and design curriculum in the UK, and with that there's 4 assessment objectives, one of which is researching artists. So we do a lot of work where we say, this is a photographer, this is someone who's done some digital work, and we're going to make responses to it. We go out, send them out, taking photo shoots, develop our own ideas into then making final responses. So we look at it sort of from a fine art photography background. That
makes sense. So you incorporate art history the same way in a regular class.
And coming as an art teacher, sort of, I've been teaching for 20 years doing art. So I bring a lot of that knowledge with it as well. So it's quite art. Look at an artist, make a response to the artist. So quite a lot of the videos I made at the beginning were along those lines as well.
Now you're teaching remotely now too, right? Or are you?
Yeah, on Monday they all come back. The UK government
really
that they're going to phase out lockdown, and as of Monday they are all coming in.
But, are you nervous?
Yeah, well, it's kind of been a hybrid lesson, because we've had key worker students, so people who's work in the health services or the important jobs. Their students have been in school, so I've been in school with just a small amount of students the whole way through the lockdown.
Oh, okay.
And now then we're setting work. We started using Google Classroom. We were doing it in photography about a year and a half ago, and then the whole school came on board with it in November time. So we set our assignments on Google Classroom. They all do their work in Google Slides, submit it all onto the classroom, and then for us, they're either working in school on computers or they're working at home. So
Google Slides, I think, was the coolest thing I ever discovered. And then after that is Google Draw, which I didn't know existed at all. And that has been a huge lifesaver also for me. But the question is, last semester, my principal wanted me to focus mostly digital. So she called my class digital arts. And that scared half of the kids away, because they don't, technology, they might be on their phones all day and social media, but dealing with technology for a purpose, some of them don't do well with it. So then I said, this time I'm going to try to add or incorporate more hands-on work or more choice And I still lost, interest from half of the kids because they're not comfortable with that aspect. So you can't, I don't know, you can't make everybody happy, and we in the New York City system are losing so many kids from this whole pandemic situation for a million different reasons. So I try to keep it interesting. I am like stalking Facebook for creative ideas and people who would help facilitate these sessions and volunteer, anything that's a really cool and original thing that I haven't seen before. I'm like, on top of those people and say, please, please, please help. So this has been very helpful to so many of us. And I appreciate your time, especially at the hour that this is for you. It's very generous. Thank you.
No problems.
So I made you co-host.
Okay.
And I guess I could start letting people in. We had, you must have seen that we have 200 people registered, which is like
I heard, yeah.
Mind blowing.
Wow, that's crazy.
That doesn't mean 200 people will show up. If they do, they only half of them will be allowed in and they'll have to watch the recording, but then we'll set a record for the highest attended, which is fantastic. Wow.
Superb.
Yeah, so I'm going to start letting people in and we can chat or you can chat with them. And then I guess at 10 after, I'll just get started. I don't want to, if we end early and you want to go to bed, we can let you go to bed. So we'll see how many people we end up with actually by 10 after. This is Mario Bro is my, I don't want to say my boss, but my partner in crime. Hey, Mario.
Hi there, Mario.
Oh, I don't know if his sound is on yet.
Hi.
Mario, you're muted. I can't hear you. Nope.
Why can't I? Oh.
You're still muted.
Having issues.
There we go. Hey, Mario, how are you?
My phone. I'm gonna go try to make dinner while you make art.
Oh, okay.
Are we admitting anybody from the waiting room or?
Yes, I just started letting everybody in.
Quentin, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi there. Hi, Mario. How are you doing?
I was putting them on.
Very good. Very good. Where are you in London? Are you in London proper?
I'm on the southeast coast of the UK. Down in a place called Hastings. I don't know if you've heard it.
Very honored to have you. I've spent some time in London and England, East Acton, and a good friend of mine is the singer-songwriter Billy Bragg. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, I know of him. Yeah, I don't know him personally.
Yeah, you see, my walls are decorated with his tour posters. We became friends when he started touring here in the States.
Oh, brilliant stuff.
So I'm going to let you guys go and conduct. Stephanie, if you want me to do an intro to Nikata very quickly at the beginning, just cue me, okay?
I'm going to come back. I'm going to actually start at 10 after. So if you want to come back at 10 after and do your spiel.
I'll be on. I'll be upstairs. I'm taking the phone with me tonight.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to mute.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you again. Cheers.
Cheers.
No worries. Yeah, enjoy. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday night art group.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, who's listening to the news?
I'm sorry. I didn't know that I didn't realize I turned on my speaker. I'm sorry. It's off now.
Anything interesting happening? Nothing?
Nothing. The world is crazy. Don't watch the news.
Yeah, yeah.
Mike, I can share.
Hi.
Hi, I'm from Brownsville, Texas. We just got an email this afternoon that our teachers are going to be able to get their vaccine on Saturday morning. So
wow.
It's going to be
good news.
Congratulations.
That's good news for us. Yes.
So you're going into your building to get it?
They're going to do like a hub. Oh, first come, first serve, but registration is tomorrow. And then it's going to be at one of the high schools, drive-by. Hopefully it's drive-by.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good news, especially since Texas is going to be full on open in a week.
Yeah, I'm so, yes. And a lot of us are very upset on that, but
I believe you.
So.
I'm going to double mask.
I think that's completely insane. Completely.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Well, I wish you safety and peace and good health. Stay safe. Oh my gosh.
Yes, likewise.
Thank you. I actually got my first vaccine 2 weeks ago, and I have to go next week for my second one. So slowly but surely. Hi, Laura. I see familiar face.
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
The second one is a doozy. That's what I heard. My son, who's military, said the second one was worse, and it took him about 2 days to get past the pain and the soreness of that shot.
Do you know which one?
Have you been vaccinated, Quentin?
Yeah, I had my first dose last weekend, actually.
Oh, good, good.
So yeah,
wow.
We've got to wait in England for another 12 weeks before we get the second dose.
12?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why?
I think the idea is to spread the vaccine around as many people as possible.
Oh my gosh.
But,
at that point, they might have to start over again with the first one.
Well, yeah, who knows? I mean.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah.
That's crazy. So let's see. We have 19 people. That's funny.
Okay.
19.
Yeah, 200 registrants and 19 present. I guess everybody wanted to secure a seat.
Yeah.
They'll start popping in.
Yeah, I figured. Give it about 10 more minutes.
I think the one that I did had 45 people or 40 people. That's a big number.
You had, and I think it was in the 60s, and we had one other with Matt Young, who did a digital piece, the digital typography job also, where he did a figure. He did typographic portraits. That's what he did with Photoshop. And we had about 65 people for that one too.
I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this, but as we get rolling, there'll be a lot more.
Yeah. We have a comment that says the virtual conference started today. Yes, I have been in this seat in front of my computer since 10 o'clock this morning.
Oh, that's right. Today is NAEA.
Conference, NAEA, at workshops and webinars and all day long. Yeah, I haven't, my ass is kind of killing me.
Hi, Marnie.
Has anybody else attended today?
Not yet. I have a session at 8.
Oh, wow, that's late.
Wow.
Well, yeah. It was the only one that I wanted to go to today. So I'm kind of picking and choosing.
Okay,
I
okay.
will make an announcement.
I've never
for
gone
next
before,
year.
so I don't know if that's good or not.
I will make an announcement that next year it's going to be hopefully live. We'll all be back to normal in New York City, the National Art Education Association Conference in New York City. We are an epicenter for the arts, and we, as usual, we've always tried to get a hotel room and host a little illegal after-hours mixer for all the teachers. So stay on our mailing list. We'll give out all the information, and we'll make you feel at home right here in the Big Apple. It's super illegal. It's just that the hotel frowns upon us not spending thousands of dollars to get a room. So we rent a room and and then just throw a big party in there until they kick everybody out. But we have fun until it happens.
Sounds
So,
good.
you all next year in New York City. Start? Should I just say hi and then let you guys start?
3 more minutes, and then I'll introduce, you could do your thing, and then I'll introduce Quentin, and then that'll help give everybody a little more time to dribble in, and then,
I'm going to be very English and go make a quick cup of tea.
okay, thank you.
I think maybe I should get a pint of beer just to celebrate Quentin being here.
You gotta get a Guinness.
I'll have to get it. I'll have to settle for an IPA.
Never been to the NAEA conference before, and of course this is virtual for the first time. How was it? I mean, like,
You have to learn how to pace yourself, which I have not learned how to do, because even though it's virtual, they have so many good sessions happening at the same time that, like, I book them all, and then I have to pick and choose which one I want to go into. That's okay, Jeannie, thank you. So I was starting some, and then I wasn't feeling it, so I left and tried another one, and then I left. But there are so many good topics, and the fact that it is virtual makes it so much more accessible to everybody. And everything is recorded, so if you're registered, you can watch the recordings at any time after they have happened, if they're not pre-recorded, which is fantastic. And of course, they have the pay for sessions, which I just had one on sewing and activism, which was fantastic. Having students make squares for a community quilt based on social activism subjects. And the woman who started it's a company where if you do the squares in the classroom and then collect them all, then send them to this corporation, they embroider and stitch everything and put the whole quilt together and then send it back to you, which is phenomenal. Yes, it was really interesting, and I got a lot of other ideas. That's part of what all this is about. You sit through and you learn somebody's technique or somebody's ideas, and then it gets you swirling. You know your kids, you know what they can do, what they're not interested in, and you kind of adapt to what is familiar for you in your classroom and your kids. So I took notes in everything, and it's going to take me weeks to like process everything, but it's so much good information, and I highly recommend. And I was actually fortunate because I attended 2 other conferences in the fall, so I kind of spent my money already and forgot about this one, and I applied for the scholarship and I got it. So thank God I was able to attend this one too, because this one's really good, and it's really big. There are so many sessions all day. I wish there were more of the hands-on paid ones, because that's where I like to, I like to get dirty, down and dirty, and to make stuff.
But how would they do hands-on if you're not there? You'd have to have the supplies at home already.
Yeah, well, they send you, when you register, they send you the supply list.
That's a great idea.
You prepare. I mean, I still have this stuff on my desk in front of me right now. I don't know if you can see what I was working on. And I have 2 others over the weekend. I have one tomorrow and one Sunday. So those are the ones I like best. It's like our art club where we get together and make stuff. That's fun.
Yeah. I think one thing about National, it's always very frustrating, is that the rooms get so crowded when you're live.
Yes.
And I guess that's a good thing about having it virtual, because you go to these workshops and or hear these speakers, and you're just crammed in the back. I guess there's a big thirst for professional development, as we see from our own art club, how successful it's been.
Yeah, well, we need all the help we can get from each other, for people who have been doing this, and now they're kind of unleashed their magical digital powers on the world and are helping all of us get caught up. So, all right, I don't want to hold up anymore. Quentin is on the other side of the pond in England, so he's 5 hours ahead of us. I want to say.
Yeah, it's just
He stayed up and it's past his bedtime to be
Oh,
with
it's a
us.
school night.
But I'm going to hand it over quickly to Mario to do his little Nikata spiel, and then I'll introduce or pass it over to Quentin. So,
You mean our little Nikata spiel, Stephanie?
spiel, yes, our
As I like to say thank you, Quentin, and this is amazing that we're having such a now an international flair to our art club. And if you don't know who we are, the New York City Art Teachers Association is the standing professional committee of the United Federation of Teachers. The UFT is one of the largest teachers unions in the country, and as part of our dues, they sponsor professional committees, whether it be English, math, music, drama, and we've been the Art Teachers Association representatives for over 30 years now. We're free to join thanks to our dues and the UFT. And then when we were live, they supported our meeting spots and our refreshments. And we look forward to going back to that and having live events again. But I think this virtual thing is great, the way we could connect, and people don't have to take the subway or leave their home and can just be making dinner and having a pint of beer here to toast our friend from England. I'd like to let you start. And if anybody wants to find out more about us, it's so simple to find us, nycata.com, Nikata.com. That I say thank you, and I'll leave it to you, Quentin. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mario. Okay, Quentin, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Quentin. I'm an English art teacher based down in Hastings on the south coast of England. We've had a similar situation to you guys in New York with COVID and the lockdowns and schools and disruption and all those kind of things. So in November, I started creating videos to help my students work remotely. And after doing that for a month or so on Loom and sharing them via Google Classroom with my students that way, I decided that it would be easier and more practical for everyone if I started posting them onto YouTube. So I set up a YouTube account and started adding the videos to that. And it's kind of sort of snowballed a bit from there. And I've been making more and more videos and helping more and more people out. And because I was making these videos, I was reaching out to people on the groups, and I came across your group, which gratefully accepted me onto their Facebook group. And then from that, I got an invitation to do this live tutorial tonight. And what we're going to be looking at is doing some text portraits. So I don't know if you've seen them before in my videos, but if not, I'm going to talk you through how to do them. If you've got access to Photoshop or Photopea, you can work alongside me as I do a live demonstration, which is kind of where I want to go with it. If you've got questions, obviously you can stop me and I will hopefully be able to answer your questions. And with most digital art editing, there are many different ways you can approach it. And some ways are more conventional than others. So if you do what I do, that's great. If you want to do it a different way, that's also great. I can show you alternative ways of doing things. So I'm going to try and do a screen share, and hopefully it will work first time without any problems. So there's my screen share, and I'm going to get Photoshop up here, and I'm going to get Photopea up here. So with Photoshop, this is what we're going to be working towards creating at the end of the evening. So the future begins with your first idea was my motto for today. So you might want to be thinking before we start doing the text portrait of what message you want to create with it. I find it works quite well with large text and having one word on each row so that it fills the shape of the face quite nicely. You can make smaller text and have much more words, and it works just the same. You can see that both versions, the outcome is very, very similar. I got the text slightly differently in the Photopea version because I couldn't find exactly the same font as in Photoshop, but whichever font works for you. I like to go for a bold font, and what I'll do is I'll talk you through the process and let me know if it's okay. You can all see the screen all right?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is get a portrait. Now, I use my iPhone to take this portrait, and it's got a studio light setting, so it already blacked out the background. If you haven't got a portrait with a blacked out background, there are different ways that you can do that. You can put a mask around it, you can highlight the face and select it and then put a mask on it. I'm going to go and assume that you know how to do that. If you don't, I can show you how to do that. All good?
Does anybody want to know how to mask out a figure, or are we all good? Everybody seems all good.
Excellent. So what I need to do, and I'm going to minimize that out of the way for a minute. What the first thing we need to do is to mask off half the picture. So I'm going to use the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to draw a box parallel with the middle of my nose across half of the portrait, and I've got the flashing lines here. What I'm going to do then is use the eyedropper tool, which will then select the exact same color as the background. Once I've got that, I'll use the paint bucket, and before I do anything with the paint bucket, I'm going to make a new layer that's going to sit on top of the background layer. So it's basically like putting a piece of paper on top of it. When I click the paint bucket, half of my face will disappear, and when I go up to the top of the screen, move that out of the way slightly, and deselect the area, it will stop flashing. That's going to be where the text is going to sit on my portrait. Now, to do the text, it's quite straightforward. We find the text tool and we choose our fonts, and to do that we go in here. I chose a font called Impact, but there are many different fonts you can choose by scrolling through the list. From Impact, I want to make sure I've got a fairly decent size. 72 is the standard size that it will come out, and that may or may not be too big. You can click in the box and obviously make it smaller if you wish. I'm going to try 60 today.
Does it matter what resolution you're working in, Quentin?
It does to a degree, but I'm not making this as a massive poster, so it's a standard sort of 2 megabyte image from my phone. So
it's like when you open it, it says 72 points.
Yeah, that can work. You can get to
pixels, 72 pixels.
Yeah, if you want it to be really nicely resolution, I go to 300 pixels per inch. A lot of that will depend on the size you wish to print, if you wish to print. Because we do a lot of our work digitally, we tend to not worry about the printing section. I'm having a real difficulty with this the zoom bar getting in the way, everyone. I'll try and put it down there so it doesn't get in the way. So once I've got my text tool, I'll jump straight back into it. We've got the size. You can see at the moment it's going to be black, so black on black won't show up very well. So if I click on the color and move over into a white section, I can then choose a white section to work with. So once I've got that, I'll just remember what I write. So we're going to go with the. So obviously we can do this in capitals. I think it looks more effective. We can do it in lowercase. It's up to you. But I've gone for that. Now, what I do with the type, I could type the whole lot in one big paragraph, but then I haven't got any freedom of what I do with it afterwards. What's quite nice is to have the ability, and once you've written the text and you've got a size for it, you can then rescale it by going to the Move tool, applying the transformation, and then you can then scale the text however you want. So in one of the text portraits I made earlier, I have different size words, so it's a bit like a word cloud, so you can put more emphasis on each word. So you see you've got the Move tool, you can then resize it, and you've got the Type tool that you can type more text with. So I'm going to go for the next bit, and I'll leave it on there so I can see what I'm typing. Right, so the future is everyone okay with the speed at which I'm going. Am I going all right speed?
Yes.
Quentin, I had a question.
Yeah.
This is how the program is a Photoshop program.
Yeah, so I'm doing this in Photoshop first, and then I'll do the exact same task over here in Photopea.
Is everybody familiar with Photoshop or Photopea?
Yeah. I have a confession that I'm not too versed in any of them. I could probably use a beginner course right from the beginning.
Right.
I grew up when everybody was riding horses, and then I'm looking at all the automobiles go by. I was a graphic design major in 1980, and everything changed by 1995.
Yeah, computer.
But no, I love looking at it. I just want to. I hope most of our teachers are familiar with Photoshop because, and then they probably know what you're talking about much more than I would right now. But I will make it a point to learn more about using a Photoshop system now that I'm retired.
For those of you who don't know, Photopea is a free web-based like twin of Photoshop.
Yeah, so right.
Yeah, I had to look into that because I didn't have access to Photoshop for my students, but I wanted to teach them digital arts, obviously. So Photopea is the best substitute, I guess. Go ahead. Sorry, Quentin.
Yeah. So you can see here on my screen share, the one thing, because it's free, you get this lovely little pop-up advertisement bar that comes up. So when you're teaching it, you kind of be mindful of some of the adverts that may or may not pop up on it. But other than that, it's all good. So what I'll do is I'll catch up with where we were on Photoshop on Photopea, so you can see how they are almost identical. So if I go big on this, and I'm going to just zoom out ever so slightly so that you can see how I'm working a bit there, because with the screen share, there's lots of different things on the screen.
We have a question.
Yeah.
What size is the canvas that you're working on in terms of measurement and pixels?
I opened the picture directly, so I'll tell you on here, we've got image size. So I'm currently working on 2,320 pixels by 3,088 pixels, and I've got DPI 300.
If you swap that to inches, what does that translate to?
I'll pop it on inches now, and you can see 7 inches by 10 inches.
Okay, thank you. And this one is 300, and the Photoshop one was a 72 DPI?
Double check. Again, it's 300 pixels.
Oh, that's 300 too.
I'll put everything on inches for you. So you can see, because it's the same photograph, I've imported it directly. I haven't added it to any.
It's the same size and resolution. Yeah. Okay.
Because I work in a secondary school, I try and keep some of the more technical things almost hidden from the students, so they don't get confused or worried about it. They get the photograph, they upload it, and then off we go. So I'll do the same procedure in Photopea so you can see where we're at. So we use the same tool, the rectangular selector. They have slightly different names in Photopea, and they look slightly differently, but we as well, and it's ever so slightly laggy compared to Photoshop, so it might be a little bit slower. So we draw the section, and also they tend to hide a lot of tools in menus like this. So the eyedropper is hidden in there. If you can't find it, it's the 4th one down. We click on the background to select the color, and then the paint bucket is quite often hiding behind the gradient tool. Can you see how it has a little tiny corner here? So if you click on that, choose the paint bucket, and the layers over here are the same, and you click on the new layer next to the dustbin in the corner, and that will create you a new layer, and then you paint bucket in to the section. And because it's got the flashing lines around it, which one thing Photopea does that annoys some of my colleagues and some of the students is the flashing line doesn't actually flash in Photopea. So it's just literally like a zebra and stuff. And again, you go to select and then deselect, and you see in the menus you've got all these shortcut keys. Some graphic designers swear by shortcut keys, and they're great, but I've been doing a lot of tutorials using mobile phones because some of my students don't have access to laptops. So a lot of my videos will be using the menus rather than the shortcut keys. But they work just the same. So it's Control D to deselect. And then the type tool in Photopea is a similar looking thing. The closest font I could find to Impact was Mulatto. There are thousands to choose from in Photopea, and you can search them. You can write in the file name in the find box and it will jump straight to it. Otherwise you can trawl through a huge selection of different fonts. I mean, some people like using the sort of more fancy fonts. Personally, for these text portraits, I like to keep it quite small and, you know, quite standard looking text. So we'll go with the writing. Again, the font size up here is different. I can't remember what side I had it on, 60, and I'll try that. It's way too small over here, so we're going to make it, try 200. Try like that. It's going to be laggy on me now. I'll drag it over to 150. So start typing. We've got white. Yep. Okay. We've got the size. We've got the text tool. We click on it. Yeah, there we go. We're back in the room. So, and then you can resize that like you could in Photoshop. So we'll put that up there. Okay, I'll carry on with it in Photoshop, and then I'll come back to Photopea in a little while so you can see where we're at. So,
can I just ask a quick question? I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, that's fine. That's what I'd like to work. That's how my students are with me as well, you know.
What was the reasoning behind not doing it as a paragraph and then justifying it versus doing each word individually?
Personally, I like the freedom of treating them like objects, so you can move them, you can change the size of them like this.
Oh, okay.
And also, I'll show you I'll show you for the next bit. One of the reasons why I chose to do it this way is if I write a couple of words. So, what have I written now? Right, the future begins. Right, so let's go back to Photoshop. So if I go with begins and then return and then with, can you see that great big gap in between the words?
Yeah, yeah.
So even if I sort of stretch them around and play about with it, that middle bit stays and gets bigger and bigger the bigger the words get.
Well, you could play with the leading individually, I guess, from row to row, but that's also a pain. It can be.
Yeah, so yeah. It's kind of like drawing with text rather than, I mean, it's the sort of thing, if you're in a hurry, you could write the whole thing in a word processor, copy and paste it over, and then you're done. I like to sort of work through it as I go, so I'll get rid of that. And we'll play around with the scale on this one, I think. What I quite liked was getting the eye to go through into the words. One really good trick, if you want to start doing that as we go, I'm just going to hide all the faces again, is on the layer with the black on it, if I change the opacity of that, you can see I can then start to see where the words are going, and I can also make that letter opaque as well, so I can see where it will be in relation to the eye, so I can really think about the scale that I'm doing each word. So you might want to get the eye on the eye, which might be quite nice.
Are you missing the S?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, go back to the text tool, apply that, go back to the layer, add in the S, and that's going to throw the whole composition out then. So it'll be in the middle of the end. I need to get big screen again. But you can see if you use opacity, it makes everything looks like tracing paper almost. So one other thing to bear in mind as well with these is that where there is a dark background, it's worth bringing the words over to where the actual face is. So I think we'll go with that for now. Is everyone okay with what we're doing?
Yes.
Excellent. So I'll bring the opacity back up to normal and put that layer back up to normal. yeah, again, I can't remember what I'm writing. So we'll go over to the text tool, and it was with, wasn't it? So what I'll do is I'll get the rest of the words in, and then we can start to maneuver them around a bit more rather than doing it individually. And I can show you the next step. So begins with your first idea, right? So we go back to the text tool. To the move tool. And also I found as well with the words is you keep the words fairly short and they'll fit within the face shape. If they get too long words, then obviously they have to have them quite small. So I'm going to play around with the height of each word now to get it to look how I want it to be so that it fits within my face. Every time you do a selection and you move it and you want to do the next one, you press enter and then it will get you ready to do the next word. Otherwise, it will just ask you to apply it all the time. And if you see there, I clicked on the middle bit, nothing happened. It's just moving the orientation around. So this one. I mean, any graphic designer out there will probably be able to tell me a lot of things about different typefaces and different sizes and how that works. I look at the words in a visual way. So I'm fairly happy with how that looks. And now I'll talk you through the next steps. So actually, I'm not very happy I've placed the feature. So once we've got all the writing and we're happy with the scale of it all, what I tend to do next is to merge all the layers together. So I've got one layer that I can then manipulate as a complete unit. So to do that, the easiest way to do it is to click on the top of the layers with the words on, press on the keyboard Shift, and then scroll down to the bottom word, and then you'll see they all become highlighted. And then I will right click and I'll look for merge layers, which is on the little arrow down. Right? I beg your pardon. It's in the layer menu. I've been doing it on Photopea, it's on that one. On Photoshop, it's over here in the layer menu. So you look for the word merge layers, or you can press Control E on the keyboard in Photoshop. And you will now see that all my words are now on one layer that I can then manipulate as a single unit, like so. Now this is where it starts to be a lot more exciting in one way. We can start to do the bit where the face starts to appear through the words. There are a few different ways of doing it. I will show you one way first, and then I'll show you a different way in a moment. So the first way you can do it, actually no, that isn't going to be the most easy way to show you. I'll show you the way I do it normally first, and then I can try and work out if there's a different way. So we've got the words.
Question. Where are the text features, like the color of the text? Maybe I'm overlooking it.
So if I go to the text.
For Photopea.
Photopea, right, I'll go to Photopea and
oh, you're in Photoshop, I'm sorry.
That's cool. I'll show you on. So I'm on the text tool in Photopea.
Yeah, I have that. Where are the color features? Like,
so you see where it says the regular, the size, there's a
okay.
box
Okay.
here. So
okay. Yeah, I was in the right one. Okay. Okay.
And then you can do it like that, no problem.
Thank you.
That's okay. I'll go back to Photoshop again. And so yeah, I was saying there's different ways of doing it, but this is the one I found the most effective to do it easily. So we want to select the type, and we can do it by using the magic wand and clicking every single one, and that could take ages. Or we can go to select and look for color range, and because the writing is in white, it will stand out against the black background, and we can click OK, and then you will see that the writing has now got the flashing lines in it because it has been selected. Then all we need to do is hide the layer with the white on it by clicking the eye. We then click on the layer that we made with the black background, the half layer, and we go edit and cut. And you can see we have instantly got our text. Basically, imagine you've got some pastry rolled out and you're making some jam tarts or some cakes, and you use a pastry cutter and you cut out the shapes. That's effectively what we've just done to this layer. So you can see we've just got a blank layer with the writing on it, and then we can put any picture behind it. And because we've done that, we can then actually move it around and find the best position for it in terms of our image behind it. So we can then really play around with where that eye turns up, where the mouth lines up with it all. Does that all make sense?
That's fantastic.
And then I'll show you the next steps in a moment to make the image really pop out. So I've got quite a lot of gap around here. I don't need the shoulders. So if I use the crop tool, or I'll use the rectangular marquee tool to work out where I want to crop it, I'll draw a box across and down, and then I can go to image and crop, and then I've cropped the image down to a more manageable size, and I can go to view and fit on screen, and it will make it fit the screen a bit better. And you can see where all the work has been done. Just going to zoom out ever so slightly because it's a bit easy to work with. Now, what I like to do next is to enhance the image. There are options we can do. We can use lots of the adjustments in the image menu. Are you familiar with the image menu, most of you?
Yes.
Yeah. So we can look at the brightness and contrast. We can give it more or less contrast, or make it slightly darker or brighter, depending on what we want them to look like. I find it slightly brighter and slightly more contrast work for me. And we can also experiment and decide whether or not we want to change it to a black and white image or keep it in the color. I find the colors a little bit washed out on this one. I prefer the black and white version. I think it adds more, kind of like a newspapery feel to it. So we can click OK, and now we have a black and white image. And we'll just deselect the flashing line on the edge. It's distracting. And then from that, we can, I like to add one more layer to it to add a little bit more pizzazz, if you like. So if I create a new layer, I drag it to the top of my layer menus. It's going to look sort of counterintuitive, but I like to do this. It's to bucket fill in some black over all of it, so the whole image will disappear. Then using the eraser tool, which is one of my favorite tools, and a soft edge brush, I like to sort of make it nice and big so that you can see how big it is. And then with one click of the mouse, I'll erase a circle, and it will kind of like add that vignette effect to it. I might do it a couple of taps, and that way I've got rid of the sort of neckline at the bottom so that it blends in much nicer. So there you go. That is how to do a text portrait in Photoshop tutorial for you. And I'll switch back over to the Photopea version and show you the similarities and slight differences of doing it in Photopea. Okay, so if I make that back over there, down here, my Photopea version. So we left it with just one word a minute ago, and I'll so you can see both screens. So what I'll do is I'll take it from this one, and I will just be very cheeky and pinch the layer. So I will go edit copy and see if it will let me, or see if it's going to be awkward. Control V. And it will copy in the text. So like I said, if you want to write the text beforehand and then you've got it as a block, you can just bring it in like that. Does that make sense? Because I'm sure you don't need to watch me write it all over again. Now, with this, we'll position it where we want it. Which is over here.
I'm sorry, I missed that step with the text. You had, you made it all as one piece beforehand?
Yeah, so to say, so you don't have to watch me write it all over again. I just copied it from the other one. If you're unfamiliar with that, if you click on the layer you wish to copy, and then you go to edit, copy.
Yeah, okay.
And then you skip over to the other document and then you go edit, paste. So you could copy and paste it from another document you've been working on, another image you've been working on. Now, when it's coming, I'm going to hide everything else so we can see how it's decided to deliver it in a really odd way. It hasn't come in exactly how I wanted it. It might actually be taking longer to do it this way. But if I hide that and hide that, what we can then do, because we want to make it see-through to work on, if I go to select and use the color range again, it's not picking it up. It's a bit counterintuitive. So what I'm going to do is forget that last bit. I'm going to bin that and just go back to what we were doing and type it. It's always try and cheat things and do things quickly, and it's never going to work quite as well. So bear with me while I retype it all. So we click on the type tool. Always remember to go back to the type tool when you're typing. You can see the sort of way it lags out on you in between each word. Everything sort of freezes a little bit, but we cannot complain because it is free.
True, true.
It does odd things like that every so often when you press things. If it does ever do anything weird, if you press escape, it will take you back to where we were. So I'll get all the writing done. Move it all about. So I've got the writing, and you can see that it's a bit big and a bit all over the place. So we'll just tidy it all up. It's the same thing. You click on the move tool each time to move each one, and you scale it around like that. So all fit nicely. Structure in a bit. For more. It also is a little bit jumpy. Sometimes you might find that if you've got on view, if you've got snap selected, it can actually sort of be harder to move things. Sometimes it does, and it does vary depending on what you're moving and how. But it's going to be a nice little red line to work to now. And also, you've got arrow keys on the keyboard. You can actually use those to move things around as well to give you a little bit more fine tuning to it. But you can see the lag coming through as I press the key, and it moves ever so slightly slower. There's that one. Okay, so we've got all the words. Now, in Photopea, it's a slightly different way of merging the layers. It's what I tried to do in Photoshop earlier and it didn't work. So we click on the top layer, we scroll down, we press shift on the keyboard and we click on the bottom layer. And then we lagged out on me. Click on top layer. We right click and we see where it says merge layers in the menu. There's less options in Photopea than on Photoshop. So we click merge layers. We've now got one layer which is the text on, as you can see there. We can then do the same thing where we go color range. And with Photopea, it's picking up the color from the portrait as well, which we don't want. So if I close that, the way to counteract that is to hide the background layer and then go to select color range. And you can see now it's just picking out the letters because it isn't being distracted by the portrait in the background. So if I click OK there, you can see I've got the lines that would be flashing but aren't. And then we'll follow the same steps we did in Photoshop. So we hide the eye on the layer with the writing on it. We click on the layer with the black background on and we go to edit and cut. Oh, and I've done it the wrong way. You can see what I did there is I cut out the background, and that's an easy mistake to make. So if we go edit step backwards, we go to select, and if that's happened to you and you click inverse, it will then inverse the selection. So then when I go to the black layer and go edit cut, fingers crossed, it will cut out just the words, yes. So then I'll go to select and deselect, and I've got the words, and you can see that they aren't fitting very nicely with the face, so I'm gonna have to stretch it all in and move it all.
Oops.
It lagged again. Moving stuff around in Photopea is one of its weaker areas. It does tend to want to turn things around. At the moment, it's playing ball, which is quite nice. Quite like the eye coming through on future though.
I have a question.
Okay.
When you do the text on top of the layers, I'm like a one or maybe a couple of steps behind what you're doing. Do you duplicate the layers? Like say if you write the first word, you duplicate the first word so you can just keep making multiple layers, or do you copy it? I don't know how to copy the text onto another layer. It's not working for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, I'll try and show you again on top of this one. So if I hide this, and hide this, and make a new layer. So what I would do is I'd write one word.
Right, that's what I did. Mm-hmm.
So it's a tiny writing. It's got a little slider. So if I write one word, I'm on Photopea, you can do this. Yeah. So I've written the word. I then click on the move tool.
Okay.
Then I click back onto the type tool and I write another word. And you can see over on the layers over here.
Oh, so every word
every time I click on every time I click on the move tool, it then stops that layer and I click on the type tool and that automatically creates another.
Oh, okay. That's what I didn't understand. Okay. Thank you.
So that way I'm keeping them all separate so I can move them all around.
Yes, that's what I wanted. But there's no way to duplicate a layer. Like, you know how Photoshop, how can you duplicate a layer? I remember doing that.
Right. So I'll talk you through. Say I've got future and I want to duplicate it. So I've got two options. I can right click.
That's what I was
duplicate layer here.
That's what I was looking for. That's easier.
Now I've got two futures, so I can move that one future away from the other.
Right. That's what, okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Thank you.
That's cool. There's another even easier way of doing it. If you drag it into the new layer menu, it copies it without you having to click anything.
Oh, that's even better.
It's a really quick and easy way to do, but
yes.
So we've now got 3 futures.
Thank you.
Awesome. Right, I'm going to hide those layers quickly and go back.
Sorry.
Right, yeah, that's cool.
I think the tips and tricks is sometimes the best part of this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
yeah, the shortcuts and the
I used to use Photoshop, but I just forgot. You know, I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I just don't remember all these little things.
Mm-hmm.
But this is cool. This is
So where was I? Right. So we've got the layer. Hang on. I'm just going to hide that again. All right. If we've got layers that we don't need, by the way, which I'm sure you already know, you click the little dustbin and you can bin them, or you can drag them into the little dustbin, whichever you prefer. So I like to drag them because I know that which one I'm on. If I won't delete the one that I just done. So there it is. So we've now got the layer with which we have cut out the letters. We've rescaled it. And I think I'm fairly happy with where it is. I might bring it over a little bit more actually. I think the eye inside begins works better for me. There we go. So we've done that. And we now want to do, actually, let me go a little bit. Sorry, I'm quite fussy with, I need to come down a little bit as well. Down too. Right, I'm finally happy. So we've got the text, we've got the face. I'll show you the other parts of the edit that I did in Photoshop on Photopea version now. So we use the rectangle select tool, they call it in Photopea, to do the crop. I'm going to go again, quite a close crop. Try and keep it symmetrical. There, I think will work. And then you go image and crop is down here on that menu, and we click crop. And then I can go to view and zoom in a bit so I can see it a bit better. And we've now got a smaller crop. We can also do the same adjustments that we did in Photoshop in Photopea. So we can come over to adjustments, find our brightness and contrast, wait for it to happen. So we're going to go to image, adjustments, brightness and contrast. Doesn't want to know today, which is what I'm saying about the lag. I'll see if it will do black and white. No, it doesn't want to know. I'll tell you what, it's probably, do you know why it wasn't working? Anyone guess?
Because it wasn't selected?
Yeah, it wasn't on any layers. So always check your layers first. I always say to the students, you know, what layer are you working on? Why isn't it working? Oh, well, you're on the wrong layer.
Always check the layer. Yeah.
So let's see if this will work. So adjustments, brightness and contrast. There we go. And we can move this around. If we click in the bit where the writing is, we can move it about. We can make it a little bit brighter. Give a little bit more contrast. Too much. And another one to always experiment with, I always get the students to look at, is the exposure as well. You can do some good adjustments with exposure as well, with the how bright or dark you want it. Take the exposure down and maybe make it quite dark.
What was the tip you gave, like to get rid of the little halo around the edge of the face or something? Like if you did
yeah. So it's select and then deselect.
Oh, the vignette. We'll get.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna.
He's getting to it.
I'm working towards that on the Photopea version. Should we leave this one in color?
I think if you can go back at one, if you have time. I know you got to go to bed. Like, you know, when you do the silhouette of the image, like I did one, but I see the white outline around it. Like, what do you recommend again? Is that
okay?
or something?
So if I go like this, we'll take it all the way back to wherever it was, and then when I get to
I'm
there,
sorry.
No, that's cool. There's no worries.
I'm like 10 steps behind.
No, that's cool. I'll go back. See how many times
I'm sorry.
So we're at this stage, yeah?
Yeah.
So, wow, I'm confused myself. Right. I need to add a layer in here. So what we'll do, we'll add in the black layer underneath. I don't know if that works.
Couldn't you also select the whole layer and then select inverse, and that would just select the text?
Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
That's what I did for the picture. Like I selected the background around the picture was white, and I just filled it with black. So I did no, it didn't work inverse. I think whatever I did. I know what I did, but It's
So are you in a similar state to how we are now on the screen? Am I?
yeah.
Is
I
this
mean,
where
I didn't
you're
get
at?
my letters.
So you got the writing.
No, I don't have all the writing, but that's okay. I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna be quiet and just absorb it.
But there are different ways of achieving the same thing. But for this tutorial, I'm using this method. So I go to select and then color range. And can you see this fuzziness bar here?
Yes.
If I move it, because it's just text, it won't make much difference. But if that was an image,
Okay.
it would make quite a big difference. I tend to have the fuzziness quite low.
Got it.
Sharper edge. Once I click OK, you can see the not flashing line, but the line that should be flashing. See that fact it's around this bit here. This means I have to go to select and inverse, and then it's just picking up the writing. So once I've got that, I hide the layer with the writing on it, go to the black, effectively the background layer, and then go edit and cut.
Okay. And the fuzziness menu was that a filter or image?
That was in select color range.
Oh, select color range. Okay. Let me write that down.
So give us a shout if that works. Okay.
Okay. Try it.
I'll just hide that layer, deselect that. So we were at that stage, weren't we? And I think I cropped it. I think I'll move that around again. That one up there. So we'll click onto the rectangle tool, draw a box. So it's going odd. But like an image and crop. Right, so we've got the text, we've got the face, and we're going to add that sort of fake vignette effect. So we need a new layer. We need to paint bucket in the background color over it. And annoyingly, in Photopea rather than Photoshop, the eraser tool has a size limit. As far as I could work out, I couldn't get it any higher than 2000 pixels. But you can type in, if it doesn't scroll anymore, and try 250. But that's more like it. So you can actually add in a number. The slidey bar has got a limit on the size, but once you've got that, you move it over to where you want to make the eraser and click it once, and you can see if I hide the other layers, how it looks. Yeah, you can see you've got that sort of vignette effect. So we do that, get the layer with the writing on it, and there you have it in Photopea as well. So that's the Photopea version. I'll show them side by side so you can get a better comparison. And obviously the black and white one is the Photoshop one. I find the writing a little bit crisper in Photoshop. I find it much smoother to operate personally. But like I said, Photopea is free and you can't fault it because, they're giving it away.
Yeah.
So, I'll come out of screen share now if you would like. Stop share. There we go. So I hope you found that useful.
This was great.
This was great. Thank you so much.
And
what grades do you teach?
It's secondary school students, so they're aged 14 to 16.
Oh, okay.
And they choose photography as an option subject.
That's so great.
And I'll give you a quick look onto my channel, and you can see some of the other tutorials. If you want to ask any questions about those, that would be.
Oh, did you want to post the link to the support video that you made?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
I'll just link into the chat for everybody.
Yep, I'll see if I can do that now. Hang on 1 sec. So I'm not screen sharing anymore, am I? It doesn't. You can't. All right. So
So much of this technology is trial and error.
Oh, absolutely right. That's the chat. So,
And technology is very moody.
and with Photopea as well, the students were always complaining as well, working at home, that it would always be cutting out if they had poor internet.
Mhm.
So there's the link. If you click on that, hopefully you can, it should work. And then you can have a look around on my channel. I've done a standalone tutorials for several different Photoshop techniques, and also quite a lot of Photopea on a mobile phone. And I've been experimenting with trying to do the 1 minute shorts at the moment. So trying to get all that information I've just given you in an hour, in a minute, is a great challenge. But my students have really enjoyed them, because I think their attention span, unlike, you know, us adults who can work things through, they like things very much more zappy. So,
Oh, we have a question. It says, might you have the initial and very first basic steps before approaching this lesson for middle school students age 11 and 12?
I would say, yeah, I would definitely recommend starting with some basics, like opening the photograph, etc.
Do you have those steps in like a step-by-step instruction sheet that your kids follow, or a resource that you could share?
Not on me right now, but I can find something and post it to the group if you like.
Okay. And well, you have beginning lessons on your
Yeah, on the channel. Yeah, have a look through the channel. There's a really good one where there's a cat and myself.
Do you want to give us the name of your channel and then?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll post the link. The link I just posted should theoretically take you to the channel, but if I pop on screen share a minute, I'll show you.
Ellen, very funny. She says, "I'm not a cat." If anybody knows about that meme that went worldwide viral with the judge or the.
Oh yeah. So this is my. Can we see this? Okay.
Yes.
So this is me, Quentin Carpenter, Nature of Flowers, and I'll show you the tutorial I was talking about really quickly. It's one of my favorite ones. So it's Wander Waltz, and it's my cat and I, and I'll just, so in it I'll show you how the basics, how to do it. If you can't get a picture to open, you can use snipping tools, etc. And then it's a similar kind of thing with the text. It's a very good entry level tutorial, and I'll whiz through it. You resize the cat and use the eraser, and then before you know it, you've got a cat and I, which is a great fun introductory lesson. And as I was mentioning earlier, these are some of the little shorts that I've done. So like how to change a background in 53 seconds, which is a really good one. So what Photopea does have that is really, really cool is this thing called a magic cut. I'll talk you through it. I won't talk over myself, but in the select menu, I showed you the color range. In a moment, it's the one that says magic cut, and it uses a sort of algorithm to work out what it is that you want to cut out of a picture, so you can see instantly it's picked out the figure and it's got rid of the background, and then boom, you've got an instant picture of the background. So,
does that only work on the iPhone, or is it?
No, it's in the app.
It's in the whole app online.
Yeah.
Great.
To make it work, it's a bit like the green screen technology in the old days, where you had the bright background, but it uses an algorithm and it can pick out an object. Sometimes it gets a bit confused. You have to use the eraser to find bits, and there are a few videos like that on here. So yeah, have a look around on the videos.
Like the content aware fill in Photoshop, except in reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll come out of screen share now. There we go. That's better. So yeah, have a look on there, and I'm trying to post new videos all the time. There's so many in my repertoire that I haven't made it into videos yet. you know,
Well,
I
we
became,
appreciate this tremendously. Can I call on you again to do another one at some point?
yeah, sure. Yeah, anytime.
That would be
Yeah.
great. Fantastic. Does anyone have any more questions? We have plenty of time. It's 10 after 8, so no questions.
No, I think it's great. I think well, it's fun.
Thank you, Quentin.
No,
I'm
thank
going to
you.
put Photopea on my bucket list of things to learn.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's free. That's just fantastic.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lifesaver for teachers.
And also, as well, with a lot of students nowadays, they tend to have tablets or iPads, and it's a great way of accessing it on there as well. And because you're on a bigger screen than necessarily on a phone, you can do a lot.
They
You
can do
can
it on their
draw on it as well.
phone.
Yeah.
Right.
So you know, if you had a Apple Pencil, or even if you use your finger, you can draw. It's got a really good paintbrush on Photopea that you can paint with.
Awesome.
So you can use it like a sort of drawing app if you can't. I mean, I know there are several drawing apps you can download from the App Store as well, but it's very versatile.
Fantastic.
The question was, so Photopea has an app that you can put on your.
It's not an app, but if you've got a web browser on your tablet, you can just type in Photopea and then off you go.
What about on a phone?
On a phone, same thing. In the web browser,
In the web
type
browser.
in Photopea.
So they don't have a dedicated app though.
They don't have a dedicated app yet, no.
Laura wants to know how long you've been working with digital arts.
Pretty much all my career, since 20 years ago, really. When I first started, Photoshop was around. I came from a fine art painting background, and then I sort of gravitated more towards sort of time-lapse photography. And then I did a lot of work over the last couple of years taking photographs of flowers you can see behind me, and they're all on my website, natureflowers.com. So you can have a look at them as well. There's a link on the YouTube. And
be a really cool assignment for photography to do like macro
absolutely
shots of the flowers, the inside of the flowers.
Yeah, there's a really nice tutorial I did where you sort of take concentric circles and take bits of an image out and then spin it around and then put it back again, which looks quite fun that you can play with. So yeah,
I'd like to explore your channel. It looks like you've got a lot of great things. There's just never enough hours in the day.
I mean, since I've been doing it, I've been subscribing to lots of other people's channels, and we're all like sharing ideas. I did a collaboration with one of my colleagues in England, and she did a really cool paint technique using coffee, because obviously a lot of students in lockdown, they haven't got any painting materials. So she painted a skull with coffee, and then we did a thing where we merged it in with my face, a bit like the cat one, but it's like half a skull, which is really cool. So have a look at that one, and then check out her channel if you want some cool painting techniques. So it's Mirror Pennington. She's one to look at as well. So
coffee grounds or actual coffee?
Actual coffee. So you make an espresso and you dip your paintbrush in it and off you go. And the more layers you do of it, and as it dries, you work on top of it.
You're gonna ruin a perfectly good espresso, mamma mia.
But
it's like a wash. It's like an ink wash.
Yeah, I'll pop on screen share. I'll quickly show you. It's really amazing. Hang on one sec. Right, share. Come on, let's do this. So here we go. If I can find it straight away. So it's in these tutorials.
So
there it is. Yeah. So and I'll put the music. She's put like a we did the sort of.
No.
So there it is. So this is the coffee skull.
That's beautiful. It's like a sepia.
Yeah. So it's just painted on layer by layer
of coffee. That's just amazing. Coffee.
It's incredible, isn't it? And as it dries, you add more and more to it.
Wow, we should tell Material for the Arts about this, Stephanie.
Yeah, so there's a link to her channel, so have a look at that as well. And then, you know, I get along and start turning it into a sort of weird, you know, coffee skull thing. So yeah, have a look at that at some point. And yeah, all good. I'll come out of screen share again. There we go. So yeah, give it a go. Paint it with coffee. You can paint with anything pretty much. If it leaves a stain, you can paint with tea, food coloring, all sorts of stuff. We've got so ingenious with lockdowns that, you know, so that the students can access the work, just use whatever's on hand.
The silver lining to this dark cloud we've been living under.
Yeah, it's been very, very challenging times for all of us, I'm sure.
Well, that's what this community is for, relief.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And thank you for the opportunity to share some of my work with you.
Well, thank you for donating your time to us. We all appreciate it tremendously.
You're very welcome.
Pay it forward, man. That's what we do. Share and pay it
Absolutely.
forward. That's how we get through this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions, again, I thank you so much. And we have another session in 2 weeks that I will be advertising for you guys. We will be doing painting, digital painting using cartoons.
Oh, well, that sounds
So that
interesting.
should be pretty interesting. And Matt Young, who was with us before, will be facilitating that one. So keep the date. It's the 18th. And then we have another one coming up. The only other one I know of is in April at this point. April 15th, we have digital.
Yeah, I could talk about that.
Mario, you want to talk about that?
We partnered with this man who's his wife is an art teacher, and he's a program designer, and he made a program called schoolartshow.com where you can take your students' artwork and download it into a digital gallery setting. So our hope is that he's at the beginning process, so we're on the bottom floor, and we're getting it for free. Soon, one day when it's all working and out of testing, it's gonna be a pay for site. But we're hoping that teachers who traditionally do their school end of the year exhibits, their spring exhibits at school traditionally at the school, can use this program to then create a spring exhibit. And then there's a link you could share with your students, with your administrators, their families. You can have a virtual reception. It's a really easy to use site. And he's going to show us how to use it and allow us to download our student work there. And that I'm looking forward to that. And so put that on the calendar. And if we don't have them every week, Stephanie, it's okay. You're like your workhorse.
I don't want to lose momentum. So if it's at least like, 2 a month,
right.
2 a month or every other week, that's a good rhythm. And then people stick with us. Otherwise, things happen, life happens, and we forget. And so
right. I did want to ask the people who are left in the room if the pre-registration was easy enough to work out and everybody was a good program, because we figured out that so many people are interested, and if we just posted without a link, it gets lost, it gets forgotten. But if you have a pre-registration button, I don't care if 200 people pre-register and 40 or 50 show up, or 20 or 30. At least it's an easy way for us to remind everybody who was interested and pre-registered, hey, this is happening tomorrow, or this is happening later today. So I thank Stephanie for working on that with us, and I look forward to, hopefully that makes it easier for everybody to keep in touch with us.
Yes.
I'm going to sign off because time to do the dishes now. I had a delicious dinner while I was writing about Photopea. Thank you, Quentin.
Mario.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Quentin. Thanks, everyone.
We have one more question on Quentin's site. It says, are your videos separated by age or grade, or are they all for the same age group?
Well, they're for any age group. I think I haven't segregated them by age or grade. So I think they're all accessible.
And I guess everybody, once you get into how everything works, it could be adjusted per the student's age range.
So some of the videos will explain stuff. So if you go back, look at a different video.
Okay.
One of the things I found the most valuable about YouTube and teaching remotely is having the subtitles.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So then it will explain exactly what the thing is as well, and then you can pause it, and you've got written instructions.
True.
So.
All right. You're welcome, Danielle. Thank you again, everybody. You can go to bed now, Quentin.
Hey, thank you very much. Well, I hope you had fun.
Thank you again.
This was great. It was really nice to meet
Great.
you and add you to our list of members, and come back, you
Yeah,
know,
cool.
either as a guest or facilitator. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Good
Say
night,
goodbye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.